Here's a cinematic, action-packed short story centered entirely on the epic battle between Eli and Kalia, a duel of raw power, intelligence, and survival. The final duel. Eli versus Kalia. The battlefield was silent, save for the crackle of fire in the ruins. The war had raged for hours, and now it had come down to this. Eli versus Kalia. Eli stood with his fists clenched, his body bruised, his breath heavy. His power pulsed through him, unseen but undeniable. Across from him, Kalia, the monstrous lioness, prowled forward. Her golden mane shimmered under the crimson sky, her massive muscles rippling with every slow step. Her eyes, filled with intelligence and cruelty, locked onto him. "You are the last obstacle," she growled, her voice a low, unnatural rumble. "Fall, and humanity falls with you." Eli didn't answer. He simply raised his hands, and the ground responded. Rocks and debris lifted around him, caught in his gravitational pull. With a flick of his fingers, he sent them hurtling toward Kalia like bullets. She dodged with unnatural speed, weaving through the assault as if anticipating every move. Then, with a thunderous roar, she leapt, claws extended, a blur of raw power. Eli barely had time to react. He threw up a force field, an invisible barrier of energy, and Kalia slammed into it midair. The impact sent a shockwave rippling outward, shattering nearby rubble. Kalia landed, snarling, and dug her claws into the earth. Then she did something unexpected. She shifted the ground beneath her, the earth cracking as if it were alive. Eli's eyes widened. "She can control the land?" Leapt back as the ground rose in jagged spikes, barely missing him. But Kalia was already charging again, using the momentum to launch herself toward him at impossible speed. Eli raised his arms, gripping gravity itself, and the world seemed to slow. He twisted his hands, and suddenly, Kalia's body whipped, sideways as if an unseen force had thrown her midair. She crashed into the ruins, sending stone and metal flying. For a moment there was silence. Then, she emerged. Angrier. Faster. With a terrifying roar, she launched herself forward, using the debris as stepping stones, bounding from one broken pillar to the next. Eli felt the pressure in the air shift. She was adapting. Learning. He needed a new approach. Instead of pushing her away, he did the opposite. He pulled. Kalia's body jerked toward him, caught in the gravitational field. The lioness growled in shock, twisting midair. But Eli wasn't done. He clenched his fists, and suddenly, the gravity around them inverted. Everything, the rubble, the dust, Kalia herself, rose into the sky. For a brief second, she was helpless, suspended in midair. Eli lunged, his entire body surging forward with the force of his powers. He twisted the air around him, slamming into Kalia with a punch charged with enough gravitational force to bend steel. The impact sent shockwaves through the battlefield. Kalia was hurled backward like a meteor, crashing through multiple buildings, before finally slamming into the earth. The dust settled. The battlefield was silent. Eli staggered, his body screaming in exhaustion. He waited, his fists still raised, and then from the rubble, a low, guttural laugh. Kalia rose, bloodied, battered, but still standing. "You are strong," she admitted, breathing heavily. "But strength alone is not enough." She crouched, preparing for another attack. Eli knew he didn't have another fight left in him. He had one last move. He raised both hands, and the sky itself seemed to shift. The weight of the world, every ounce of gravity, every unseen force, converged on Kalia. Suddenly she couldn't move. The pressure was immense. Her body sank into the ground, her limbs shaking. Eli gritted his teeth, sweat pouring from his forehead. He was forcing gravity down on her with every last ounce of his strength. Kalia snarled, struggling, but her movements slowed. Her breathing grew ragged. Her eyes, once filled with cold superiority, flashed with something new, fear. And then she collapsed. The battle was over. Eli took a deep breath and staggered, barely staying on his feet. The city lay in ruins around him, but the war, at least for now, had been won. To be continued. This is a standalone battle story, but could also be a climax to a larger narrative. Would you like it